I bought Assassin's Creed Black Flag 13 years ago on pre-order and I haven't played it until now, this year when the resynced version is coming out. I don't know why it took me so long to play it, but I am going to give you my honest review, what I liked, what I didn't like, and we're also going to be recreating one of the treasure maps from the game. So let's get into it. I want to preface this by saying there are no storyline spoilers. I'm just going to be going through the elements of the gameplay that I liked and what I didn't like. One of the things that drew me in about the game, even before I had played it for the 13 years that it waited for me on the shelf to play it, was the soundtrack. I absolutely adore Brian Tyler and his work, and the soundtrack for Assassin's Creed Black Flag is absolutely peak. It is one of my favorite Assassin's Creed game soundtracks without having even played the game. I've had the theme song in my playlist for the longest time, absolutely adore that. I loved all of the sea shanties that they added in there, and I just think the soundtrack is amazing. The soundtrack is definitely one of my biggest talking points because I've been listening to it for 13 years. An element of gameplay that I really enjoyed about Black Flag was the ship controls and battles. They have had this kind of stuff in previous Assassin's Creed games, but it was very small segments of it, and they've had to up the ante a whole lot for Black Flag, with it being wholly on the sea and you spend most of your time on the ship. And I really think that they did a really good job, especially for someone like me who gets motion sickness very easily with games like this. The only times that it made me a little bit motion sick was if the visibility was really low. So if it was foggy or rainy on the sea for long periods of time. Usually they don't last very long, but I did encounter a glitch where they lasted pretty much my entire voyage and I had to restart the game and fix the glitch. But other than that, I didn't really get triggered with my motion sickness very much when I was on the ship. The motion sickness was triggered while we were on land, but I'll get to that a little bit later when I go through the stuff that I didn't quite like in the game. Now, considering what I've heard about the resynced version, I have heard that there is less elements of the Abstergo Industries cutscenes. And that was one of the things that I did kind of enjoy about Black Flag, with the fact that they didn't have as much of that in the gameplay as it has had in previous Assassin's Creed games. I always found those parts kind of boring, but with Black Flag, it was a good amount of those cutscenes where you were out of the Animus, you were in Abstergo, you were in your current day life. And I feel like previously they've just kind of overdone that and it hasn't been super exciting. And as I said, I know that the resynced version has cut all of it out. I'm not sure on that fact, but I have heard that they have cut out all of the Abstergo Industries cutscenes and you pretty much play within the Animus the entire time. I do think that it is an important element to have in the game because that's pretty much what Assassin's Creed is. You're going through all this history of all these different people throughout different periods of time. And I think it's a really cool way to tie everything into modern day. I did quite like the setup of the Abstergo Industries in comparison to previous games. So before, you were kind of in this wide open room. You played as Desmond when you were outside of the Animus, and you were going through all of his different memories, and then you were playing through him and what he was going through, and it was pretty cool. But in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you were more in this kind of Google-esque workplace. I really liked the aesthetics of it. It kind of brought back that feeling of the Frutiger era, the futuristic future that we thought of back when that was made 13 years ago, and what we thought the near future was going to look like. And I really loved the design aspects of it, and I really loved that I didn't have to spend all that much time there, and it wasn't a super difficult or tricky or challenging part of the game, and most of your gameplay was inside the Animus playing as Edward Kenway. I also really enjoy when you are on your ship, you have this whole crew that just kind of cheers you on. You've got the sea shanties that are being sung while you're sailing along. You have the crew that cheers for you when you get back on your ship. And I feel that that's so wholesome. I love that. I love the cheering. I love them to, when they say, hooray, he's back, or, you know, then they call out when you're jumping off the ship, Captain overboard. I love that. I think it's such a cute element of the game. It just adds a little bit more of that, I don't know, pirate life feel to things. I do enjoy digging up buried treasure. I think that's one of my favorite things in the game, is trying to find where the buried treasure is. It's not overly difficult. They give you the coordinates on the treasure maps, which is why I'm making one of these treasure maps today throughout this video. But I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the treasure hunt. I enjoyed the X marks the spot. That to me is the quintessential pirate thing to do. And to be able to look at this map and then look at your little mini map and figure out where it is, I think that's a really fun element that they put into the game in terms of collecting things. They have had collectibles in previous Assassin's Creed games, and obviously you've been able to find different treasures, which you can still do in Black Flag, but the buried treasures are the fun ones, the ones that you try and figure out which island they're on and then try and figure out what part of that island it's on. And I think it's a cool treasure hunt, and I absolutely adore it. Also, as much as I despised trying to find the sea shanties when they flew away, I did enjoy collecting the sea shanties. It was a little bit different again in the collection element of Assassin's Creed, in the fact that it actually gave you something tangible. Like, you could then hear your crew singing the sea shanties when you were on your ship, and I thought that was a cool element to add to the game as well. Let's talk a little bit about the legendary ship battles, because I feel like they need a space in this video, because I have just finished all 4 of those, and holy moly, was the last one I did insanely tricky. There is one of them that you're going to come across if you play this game, and if you have already played the game, you know exactly which one I'm talking about, and I've never rage quit a game in my life, but I almost did when I was trying to defeat that one. Let's move on to things that I dislike about the game, and I mean, as I said before, people raved about this, and I have feelings and opinions. I don't think it's right up there with my favorite Assassin's Creed game. I have played through Assassin's Creed 1 multiple times. I've 100%ed that one. I've 100%ed Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and I've played through them multiple times too. I've played Revelations, I've played Assassin's Creed 3, and I have played Assassin's Creed Origins and 100%ed that one. So I feel like I have some valid opinions about Assassin's Creed gameplay, and Assassin's Creed Black Flag does not rank very high in that list of games that I have played in the titles. So first of all, Edward Kenway took parkour lessons from Altair. If anyone has played Assassin's Creed 1 and knows how frustrating it is to have Altair climb up a building and you try and jump to a higher point of the building and he decides to jump backwards, Eddie is very similar. Oh my gosh, he often just falls to his death on a ship and I have no control over it. He's standing here and I want him to jump over here and he jumps down and dies. And I don't know how we got here. And it has ruined my game multiple times. And the other gripe that I have with the parkour or lack thereof is Edward will always choose an object to jump on. So if you're on land, he has sea legs, I'm telling you. If you are on land and there is a structure, a fence, a wall, anything next to you and you're using the right trigger to run, he will much prefer to run on the wall or jump over the wall rather than run in a straight line, and it can trigger motion sickness. I do get severely motion sick with certain things, and when he goes in a direction that I'm not expecting him to go, that triggers my motion sickness quite a lot. And I do, for that reason, prefer being on the ship, because even though it is on the sea and I get seasickness quite easily, I get less motion sickness with that type of gameplay and that type of dynamic of the movements and stuff. So those kinds of things, I didn't feel this. I didn't feel that kind of a way with other Assassin's Creed titles. There's some things that probably need ironing out. And whilst I am glad that he can actually swim, unlike Altair, He doesn't swim well, and that is very evident with the underwater diving missions. Holy moly, I struggled a lot with those, especially when there is a shark coming towards you and you have no way of defending yourself. They say, oh, hide in the tall grass. Yeah, okay, but then you float away and the shark is going to see you anyway. There's no way to stay stabilized in that grass. There's no way to punch a shark in the face. I just don't get that. The underwater diving was probably one of the most painful parts of the game so far, and I wish that it didn't exist. I don't like being underwater in games anyway when there is a breath meter, but when there's a shark coming towards you and it's very, very hard to get away from said shark, it makes it even worse. I feel like this next point is something literally nobody else is going to relate to, so please do let me know if this was something that bothered you. But when you're doing the cave missions with the outlaws, there is a bird. There is a bird that sounds like a whistle, like one of those, you know, PE teacher whistles, and it makes me want to gouge my eyes out. I don't know why. I just cannot stand the sound of this damn bird. And as I said, I feel like nobody else is going to relate to this, but I hate it. I can't stand it. And I will leave that cave as quick as possible. And then when you think you've done all of the cave missions, the diving missions happen and they send you back to the caves anyway. And I just, I couldn't stand that bird. And lastly, something else that has bothered me about this game is the vast amount of uncharted treasures and animus fragments that there are in the game. Something that I struggled with earlier on with the Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations, was the repetitiveness of the collectibles. So they added more and more collectibles in as the game went on. You had to collect feathers and you had to collect treasures and you had to collect all these different things to completely finish the game. And because I am a completionist and I do want to complete as much as I possibly can in certain games that I enjoy, it definitely fatigues you with the amount of things that you do have to collect, and the fact that there's so many uncharted ones in Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which means they are on little islands in the middle of the sea. So you have to pull your ship over, you have to jump off the ship, you have to swim to the shore, you have to collect the thing, you have to swim back to your ship, which somehow has gotten further away from the land than where you parked it, and then go on your merry way. They need a system where you can send someone off onto the island like those post office runners when you see the videos of them running and collecting the post and then coming back to the ship. They need that for Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I need a little lackey that gets off for me and runs and grabs the treasure and then comes back, because it does take a lot of time, I guess, to go around and do all those things and collect the single treasure that is on these little islands and then get back to your ship. Okay, I think I'm done yapping about the game now. I really did enjoy it overall. I think they did a really good job with those ship mechanics, and it was the first of its type in the gaming industry, and I think they really paved the way for that and set a really high bar on ship mechanic games. But obviously it doesn't rank super high for me. There are quite a lot of dislikes on my list, and I have played quite a lot of other Assassin's Creed games before, and I just don't think it's the highest on my list, even though a lot of people really say that they liked it a lot and think that I'm probably crazy for putting it so low on my list. But let me know in the comments if you have played Assassin's Creed Black Flag, or if you are waiting for the resynced version. I'm really interested to know your thoughts as well. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here, and I will catch you in the next video.